key elements are, your preferred return, the capital account, promote, and, the type of distribution. So, I'll go through those one by one. Very often investors expect to get a certain return before a general partner makes, any sort of fees. And, that preferred return, is often in the 7% to 9% range. I'm sure they're growing by the day in our environment. That preferred return is important because, from a general partner's perspective, it helps align risk and return with their limited partners. A limited partner generally is going to expect some, a preferred return that is, in line with the risk profile of a deal, and a general partner's compensation is tied to the success of the deal. The waterfall will start there and very often. And to take it a step back, I'm giving you the generalizations. You can kind of negotiate anything, quote unquote. And there are different types of waterfalls, but we'll take it to the simple LP GP waterfall. And that's very often how they start. Thereafter, it's important to understand what a capital account is. A capital account essentially keeps track of what an investor should be paid before taking fees. So it tracks the accrued preferred return. So if you're, that 7 to 9% number I'm talking about that an investor expects to make, it tracks whether or not that's been paid. And then if there are distributions in excess of that, you quote unquote pay down that capital account. And very often then the preferred return accrues on that new amount. And if they're below that, especially early in the life of a potential deal, then it adds to the capital account. And, your distributions are on a higher basis, basically. One thing to note is just that there is a concept of a capital account in the tax world as well. They are separate, or they generally are separate. So, don't confuse the two. If you hear that in that context, here we're talking about capital account in reference to calculating an investor's, distributions. And then next, you have a promote. Essentially, it's just, okay, we've distributed all the preferred return, all the accrued preferred return, that 7 to 9% number. Now we're at a place where, we're distributing 10 or 12%. Where does the cash flow go thereafter? And so that promote, you might hear the phrase like 80-20 over an X, right? Over a 7 or an 8%. So that promote would be the 20 piece, right? That goes to the general partner. And then the next one is somewhat self-explanatory by the name, but very often the types of distributions are differentiated between operating cash flow and capital distributions. The latter generally being tied to either a sale or a refinance type transaction, or maybe a partial sale. And the former is just cash flows from an ongoing operation of a property. It's also important to note that everything can be negotiated. These terms, you may see similar concept disguised as different terms, and that you may hear the word waterfall, and in a few contexts, whether that be a preferred equity investor type, which is becoming more common by the day for a lot of you probably, or a GPLP. And most of these definitions I'm kind of giving you now are generally referred to more of the GPLP distribution. But the concept of a waterfall is just defining where cash comes out of a property.